Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
6:07 and a very good morning to you here in your nation's capital. It's going to be cold again. It's cold now. The snow is still there. It's still icy. It's still dangerous. And, well, stay home. Stay home if you can. We'll keep you entertained. We'll keep you focused. Coming up in 30 minutes, Cal Thomas. He's always a party. It's 7:05. Luke Pettit, he's from the Treasury Department. He works with Scott Besson. He wants to tell you all about the Trump accounts and the new upgrade there. 8:35. Congressman Jim Jordan, chairman of the Judiciary Committee. It's Larry O'Connor. Bethany Mandel's with us all morning as well. Good morning, Bethany.
Good morning. What a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have a friend of the program, Sean Kennedy, as well. He, of course, with Virginians for Safer Communities. Frankly, Sean, we love talking to you, but you always bring us a outrage and an atrocity, usually at the hands of one Steve Toscano, the Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney. And this one, I don't know, he's sort of gone beyond the pale here, as he seems hell-bent on letting a murderer walk free by a very, very dodgy plea of insanity. Give us the background on this story.
Well, in 2022, a young CEO of a nonprofit that actually helped poor people in Malawi, a third world country in Africa, and he raised money through sort of a GoFundMe after he started programs in this country, in Malawi. He started this nonprofit here. He got married. He has 2 little kids. He's lying in bed. A man breaks into his house and shoots him 10 times, including 4 times in the head, lying next to his wife. The motive, it turns out, was because the killer had once gone on a date with the man's wife, and so he was taking him out of the picture in his mind. And this has gone on for 3.5 years, this murder case. And just in November, right before Thanksgiving, they approached the family and said, we're going to give him an insanity plea. And he's going to basically be evaluated after he is not guilty. So, by the way, it's considered an acquittal. Be given this not guilty verdict, then he will every year be reassessed as to whether or not he's still crazy. And if he's not crazy, he goes free. And if anyone knows anything about psychotropic drugs, you give people enough of those and anybody's not crazy. And so eventually, in the near future, this man will be released after committing a crime that would otherwise entail life without parole, first-degree murder. And they're saying he was crazy. And what's so tragic about that is they went and got a defense expert, the defense did, saying he's crazy. Then the prosecution got their own expert, which they're under no obligation to do. Other Commonwealth's attorneys I've spoken to, both current and prior ones, not just in Fairfax but elsewhere, said that they often just never got one because they were going to pursue the trial, and that's what the family wants. They want a trial. They want the evidence laid out. They want the people, the jury, to decide if he's insane. Anyway, they basically said, we're giving him this insanity plea and stuff it, and the family is outraged because they want the evidence to be laid out. They want this man to go to prison, at least have a jury in Fairfax decide if he's crazy, not a bunch of shrinks who, in the case of the prosecution expert, is actually historically a defense expert saying people are insane, and he only met with the killer via Zoom.
Via Zoom. That's how he evaluated this. And just before people get on top of this, because they'll hear these facts and they'll say, oh, he murdered this guy because he went on a date with his wife years ago. That sounds crazy, which it might sound crazy to you, everybody, but that's not the same as legally insane and utilizing insanity as a plea to get off for cold-blooded murder. And, Sean, my understanding as I looked into this case is this guy had a kill list. He actually had a list of people that he was targeting, and he had actually broken into the home of one of the people on the kill list prior to this murder. So that doesn't sound like someone acting irrationally and on the spur of the moment and all of the clear sort of trademark definitions of an insanity plea. This sounds quite premeditated. He may be crazy, but not insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's an important distinction you're making there. Yes, there's a difference between legally insane and criminally responsible. Yeah. So the analogy I always use is this isn't a homeless person screaming, about aliens and pushing someone onto the subway tracks. The man bought a gun for this purpose, practiced with the gun, broke into someone's house who was not home. Then he with schematics of Gret Glyer, that's his name, Glyer, a business. He then broke in at 3 a.m. into his home in the dark and then escaped, changed his clothes, sped away. Like, everything about it was premeditated in every respect. He went back to the shooting range 3 days after the killing to continue his killing spree and practice for it.
This is terrifying. What can residents of Fairfax do to put a stop to this? Can they call the prosecutors? What is the action plan here for Fairfax residents?
It's really right now, as of the hearing that happened last week, it's in the hands of Judge Stephen Shannon. Now, everything I know about Judge Stephen Shannon is that he's a good guy and that he will at least hopefully look at this case and not rubber stamp it. He does have the authority to reject this agreement, just like any other plea, and say, no, you're not going to do this. At that point, it throws the ball up in the air because we had, another friend of the show, Cully Stimpson's wife, was in a terrible car. Calling it an accident is the wrong word. Her car was rammed and T-boned on the Beltway. And they tried to do something similar where they tried to punt the case and, get rid of it, not necessarily an insanity plea, but basically give leniency to them. And Cully's wife and Cully went to the press and caused a kerfluffle, and they attacked the family, in this case the victims, and that got the case moved out of the jurisdiction. So that man was prosecuted by a different county's prosecutors, and he's in prison right now. I mean, I hate to say that's the long game here, is that they are so conflicted. Descano has so messed up this case that we need someone from another county to take over because you can't trust Descano to prosecute this case, let alone if the insanity plea goes forward. It's the prosecution that has to advocate for maintaining him incarcerating him in a mental institution every year. So do I trust Descano, who won't stand up for the family now, to stand up for the family every year in perpetuity?
Hell no. By the way, is Descano targeting this program? From Cully Stimson to Lindsay Feifeld, who was a victim of Richard Cox, in the YMCA. I'm like, all right, I shouldn't even raise that issue because no one will come on the show anymore. Sean Kennedy, you studied Descano. What is he just hell bent on letting murderers free? Does he not take the what would be his motivation to go along with this?
If you don't want to read into evil, which that's one interpretation, and these are not mutually exclusive, but never underestimate lazy and incompetent. And here's why. One, the lead prosecutor on this murder case was named Eric Klingon. He is our friend who was caught drinking at 8 a.m. before going into court at an animal hospital a couple months ago. Then he was removed from the case. He was also the lead prosecutor on the Au Pair murder, which you guys are all familiar with.
Oh, yes.
So he was removed from both of those cases. So Steve Descano's top deputy, her name is Jenna Sands, had to take over both cases. So out of nowhere, she has 2 high-profile murder cases she's not prepared for, going to trial or going to resolution at the same time. So what did she do? She chose to take the Banfield case, the Au Pair murder, because she gets to go on court TV. She's on TV every day. And the Glyer case, nobody except the family is still paying attention to because there's not sex involved. So therefore, she's going to take the Banfield case and punt on the Glyer case. So one family gets no justice, so she can get on TV. And that's absurd and a tragedy and outrageous in its own way. It's necessarily evil, but it's selfish and lazy.
Keep us updated on this, Sean Kennedy, so we can continue, at the very least, do what we can, which is shine a spotlight on it, and hopefully everybody can at least recognize what's going on here, and maybe we can shame them, at the very least, into changing venue. That might help us out.
Judge Shannon, it doesn't need to hear from you, but if Judge Shannon is listening, give the Glyers justice, give Gret justice, give his children justice.
Yeah, and have them so that they don't have to live in fear, because this guy goes out and he's going to check in once a year and everything, that they will be terrified. The children were in the home when this murder took place. The wife was laying in the bed next to her husband when those shots rang out, murdering her husband. The only way they will be able to sleep at night is to know that this murderer is incarcerated. Thank you, Sean Kennedy. Appreciate you.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Alex Preddy, the nurse in Minnesota, was killed over the weekend, as you know, at the hands of a Border Patrol agent after a physical altercation involving Mr. Preddy, who was, obstructing the law enforcement there of carrying out their duties and creating a dangerous situation. We've seen the videos, and there's much to be analyzed and investigated about this. One thing is for certain, though, the media and the organized left in this country and the Democrat Party that they all find themselves at home in, they are making a martyr of Mr. Preddy, and I guess that's their right. They own all of these propaganda machines that can successfully make a martyr out of somebody. But here are a couple of questions that you need to ask yourself as you see this play out. First of all, if this person truly is a martyr for the cause and an innocent victim of the fascist totalitarian stormtroopers of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller's goons, if he is a martyr, then why do they have to lie about him? Why do they have to stretch the truth? Why do they have to use artificial intelligence to doctor photographs of him when they put him on cable news? I don't know if you've seen the images here, but MS Now has been using a photograph of Alex Preddy to make him look, warmer, friendlier, prettier. His face is not quite as elongated. His hairline seems a little different. It's obviously a doctored photograph. If Alex Preddy is the martyr we say, why do they have to manipulate us with these images?
Yeah, I mean, the reason that they're doing that, why they're posting all of these manipulated photos, is because they're setting a narrative, and they want him to be warm and inviting, and this is all, it is really classic and very egregious media manipulation.
It's wag the dog stuff.
Yes, 100%. And that's not to say that, he had it coming or
no, of course, God forbid. Of course
but
not.
God forbid you object to this in any way. That's what you're accused of doing. But it's actually really dehumanizing to him. Yeah. That you don't look nice enough, dead man, so we're gonna change things up. We're gonna make you look a little warmer, a little more tan. It should be shameful from the left, but they feel no shame. So here we are.
No, exactly. Please, you've had people circulating photographs online of what is purported to be the obvious murderous assassination of Mr. Preddy until you look closely at the picture and you realize one of the Border Patrol agents doesn't have a head. It's so obviously manipulated through artificial intelligence, but you've got, people from the New York Times were circulating that photograph, saying, look at this atrocity. And then there's this. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I want to quote Allie Beth Stuckey because I think she had some good insight on why they did this. She said, human nature is that people tend to feel more deeply for people who are attractive. That's why they did this. The guy on the left looks more like a left-wing agitator, and the guy on the right looks like a patriotic veteran. That's why.
Yeah, that's Allie Beth Stuckey, by the way, a really popular podcaster and streamer from the Blaze Network. Just in case our listeners don't know the name drop there, Bethany, I know she's a friend.
She's brilliant. Everyone should follow her on Instagram and Twitter.
That said, let's go back to that guy on the left that, as you and Allie Beth just said, looks like a left-wing agitator in the side-by-side photo comparisons. The guy on the left looks like a left-wing agitator because it appears he is a left-wing agitator. We're learning more, as we often do 48 hours after events like this, about Alex Preddy. We were told that he was just an innocent bystander, an ICU nurse that just happened to be in the neighborhood, who saw some of his neighbors in trouble, went to help them, and then he ended up with a bullet for his efforts. Well, that's not exactly true. We've got a lot more here. He was known to the federal law enforcement agents there who were on the ground because they had just had an encounter with him a week before. In fact, it got physical. There was a scuffle, and Mr. Preddy had suffered a broken rib in that altercation. So this is not only the first time that Mr. Preddy happened to be just walking in the neighborhood and wanting to protect his neighbors from federal agents enforcing immigration law. That's also not the first time that he got physically involved in an altercation. And in fact, it sheds a lot more light on the circumstances here, knowing that he was physically involved in an altercation, that it resulted in a broken rib. And now this time, a week later, involved in the same kind of behavior. He decided going in that he was going to bring a gun to the table. Now, again, I'm not saying he had intent. What I'm saying is that his past encounter ended up with a physical altercation and he was injured. And this encounter, he brought his legally Second Amendment protected concealed carry weapon with him. That's more information that I think the American people deserve to have as they evaluate exactly what went down here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this paints a picture of what happened, what is happening in Minneapolis. The fact that there is a ring of people who are violently confronting agents.
Yes,
and
going out of their way to confront agents.
Yes,
absolutely.
And provoking them. And again, you always have to make this caveat because people are going to pull this clip and da-da-da-da-da.
That's right.
He didn't have it coming.
I'm not saying he deserved to die. Nope.
I'm not saying it
no
either.
No one is saying that.
But you have to make smart choices. I say this to my children all the time. You have to make smart choices. And sometimes the choices that you make are not, the end result is not fair. For example, my children who made the choice to run on the ice yesterday, I said, this choice is going to result in you crying. And it did. There's something broken on the left that we're not teaching people that their choices have consequences and they have to live and sometimes God forbid tragically die with those consequences. But this is the world that we live in, and I don't want to see anyone hurt. I don't want to see anyone suffering. And so we have to change this conversation. And it starts with people being rational because the end result is tragedy.
And we deserve, we the American people who are watching these events and seeing the actions carried out by our elected officials, as we determine whether we are satisfied with how they're carrying out those actions, we deserve the truth. We deserve to know the full set of facts and data supporting the events so that we can reach a reasonable conclusion. As far as I'm concerned, every single poll up until yesterday when this news was revealed about Mr. Petty is null and void because people were forming opinions without all of the facts at their disposal. And one other thing, because you're right, Bethany, our words will be twisted and turned around to suggest that Mr. Petty had it coming and that we're happy about this. No. My heart aches for Mr. Petty and his family in the same way that my heart aches, well, almost the same way, for Laken Riley and her family, the victim of a murderous rapist who was allowed into this country illegally. I don't want these people to be dead. I pray for Mr. Petty's soul and I pray for Mr. Petty's family. And I also hope that anyone else who's like Mr. Petty in Minnesota, I hope that their family, I hope the people in their lives who know them and love them, pull them aside and say, hey, dude, I respect your passion. I love that you feel so strongly about this. Please don't get out there. Please don't go and get involved in this. Don't get in the way of these law enforcement. This is too serious. I love that you're passionately, trying to protect people. Stand on the sidelines. Go ahead and let your voice be heard, but do not step 1 foot off of that sidewalk and get in the way of law enforcement because that's dangerous stuff. I love you. I treasure your life, and I want it preserved. I wish that Mr. Petty had people in his life who had told him that, especially after the last altercation that resulted in his injury.
I wish also we had lawmakers in Minnesota saying the same, but we don't.
Yeah, amen. Coming up, Cal Thomas. Keep it here at 6:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
6:37 now. It's O'Connor and Company. Good morning. This cold and snowy and icy Tuesday makes you want to be down in Florida, like Cal Thomas. Coming up at 7:05, Luke Pettit was going to join us. He's at the Treasury Department right now, Assistant Secretary for Financial Institutions. Talk about the Trump accounts. And also at 8:35, Chairman Jim Jordan of the Judiciary Committee in the House will join us. It's Larry O'Connor. Bethany Mandel's here. Good morning, Bethany.
Good morning.
Julie Gunlock still on the mend. Send her your prayers. And if you can give a donation for the family, please do so. GiveSendGo.com/Julie Gunlock. But I got an update. She's doing great. Every day, better and better. But she's still got a long haul in front of her. So our prayers to Julie and Darren and the boys. Joining us now, Cal Thomas, syndicated columnist extraordinaire. man about town, as he always brings a little class to the proceedings. No offense, Bethany, but, Cal's he's a cut above. Good morning, Cal.
Hey, thanks. Good morning to you, too. I just want to make a point that I've contributed to Julie's fund, and I hope everybody who is listening kicks in at least $1, $5, something like that. She's worth it.
Oh, bless you, Cal. You're such a mensch. That I appreciate that.
Sure.
So, listen, I've gotten a preview of your column that's going to hit tomorrow. Yeah. And it's truly wonderful and fantastic. If you could just sort of expand on it as we see all of these. This is why I love Cal Thomas's columns, because we see all the noise and all of the histrionics on cable news and on social media about the events that are happening before us. And you can crystallize something that everyone else is missing.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. I appreciate it. Well, the column's about language. Words are important. And for both sides in this Minneapolis business, from Tim Walz to Mayor Fry to Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller and Donald Trump, all hurling nasty language at each other. One side compares the ICE agents to the Gestapo. Tim Walz says that little children are hiding out, afraid to go outside. It reminds him of Anne Frank. And then, and then Trump, come on. This language ought to be used to convince people of the correctness of your policy. Name calling doesn't solve anything. Are you old enough to remember when kids said, yeah, your mother wears combat boots? That's mild in comparison to what we've got today. It just doesn't change anybody's mind. It's schoolyard stuff. It's juvenile, and we ought to get off it.
Well, and listen, I'm not old enough to remember that one necessarily, but these are basic lessons that we learn when we're children, and that's why it's so frustrating for many of us as we watch these, elected officials in places of responsibility. My perspective on the Trump administration's violations in this regard is even more frustrating because they have the law on their side. They have the facts on their side in this case. If they just stick with that, they're going to be fine. But I don't know why they need to go overboard and sort of utilize language that doesn't shed light on a situation that, frankly, that helps the left when things remain murky.
Right. Well, here's what people need to be reminded of, and the president has said it on occasion, but he needs to say it every single day. Let's take the line from The Sound of Music. Let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. None of this would have happened. None of it would have happened. None of it would have happened if the Biden administration had controlled the southern border and not let everyone in, including violent criminals, while falsely claiming the border was under control. How many times did we see Mayorkas on TV? Oh, the border's closed. Oh, the border's under control. While you had Bill Malugin of Fox News down there with the cameras showing them pouring over the border like a tsunami. Second, things would have gone much smoother in Minneapolis if the city and state had not declared themselves sanctuaries, effectively protecting criminals they would likely not have protected had they been homegrown. Do you think any local Minneapolis criminals would have been treated this way? Of course not. And then thirdly, the protesters were interfering with law enforcement, which is illegal, but the media treated them as patriots. But the main thing is Biden let them in. That's what the chants ought to be. Get the signs out there from the other side. Biden let him in. Let's get some chants going in that direction.
There you go.
So another thing that's crazy happening in Minnesota that I feel like is not getting enough attention is the fact that the teachers unions are shutting down the Minnesota schools and giving kids a free pass to get out in order to protest ICE. What's going on? What is happening there?
The only time that I remember my school being shut down in Montgomery County was snow. And back in the early days of Walter Johnson High School, we had cows in the field. And once in a while, the cows came into the school, and us boys got to chase the cows out. So that delayed classes. It didn't shut it down. You got kids who can't read or write or do math at grade level, but they know how to demonstrate. 2, 4, 6, 8. We know how to demonstrate. Is that really going to be a career path for them? Yes, I'd like to apply for a job as a professional demonstrator. I'm sorry, we already have too many.
It exists.
It does. It certainly does. It's a jobs program for the left. Cal, don't know if you noticed. Many people didn't. The Oscar nominations came out. Anything catch your eye?
No, I gave up watching awards programs years ago. It's just liberals awarding liberals. It's the same with the Pulitzer Prize and all of these other awards. I remember some years ago when Mary Lou Forbes was the commentary editor at the Washington Times, she kept urging me to submit some of my columns for the Pulitzer. I said, Mary Lou, it's a waste of time. Don't even bother. No, I want you to do it. I'll help you do it. I said, I'll tell you what. If I'm even one of the finalists, I will pay your mortgage for a year. What? Yes, I will. I said, okay. So I submitted it. Of course, I didn't even make the finals. And the same thing happened on, there was a congresswoman who from Maryland who told me once, said, you ought to be the speaker at Walter Johnson graduation sometime. I said, they're not going to have me. I'm a conservative. And I said the same thing to her. I said, I'll pay your mortgage for a year if they invite me. And I saw her later and said, well, you were right. They didn't want you. Well, that's just the way it is, you know?
Boy, I want to enter into one of these pay your mortgage for a year bets with Cal, though. It's
yeah,
but
no.
I don't know. It reminds me of the scene from Guys and Dolls. I'm going to get some vinegar in my ear, I think, if I remember how that.
Oh.
Remember that joke?
The guy's always. Whoa, well, I don't remember that, but I do remember the guy's always doing it for some doll, some doll, some doll.
There it is.
That was a great song. Yeah, there it
Cal
is.
Thomas, he is the Sky Masterson of conservative columnists, and we're proud to have him every Wednesday. Thank you, Cal. Have a great day. Stay warm.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, stay warm.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Kristen Stewart, she's an actress. She's the woman from Twilight. She's done nothing else notable other than the really bad reboot of Charlie's Angels that didn't need to be made, and she ruined it. Kristen Stewart says now that she's probably not going to stay in the United States of America. By the way, I had no idea that she was in the United States of America. She says reality is breaking completely under Trump, but we should take a page out of his book and create the reality we want to live in. And then she said that she'd probably move to Europe, which good for her. If we do lose Kristen Stewart, it means that we will be bereft on a daily basis here in this country of her incredible acting skills, like, for instance, this.
Hi, I'm Twilight actress Kristen Stewart. There's nothing that I hate more than bad public speaking. If you are a bad public speaker and you want to learn how to speak more good, you should buy my DVD box set. Twilight actress Kristen Stewart teaches you how to speak more good. And you just start a sentence and then bail out. It's great to be at the Nickelodeon. You can turn declarative sentences into questions.
It is. It's between the vocal fry and the up-talking. She is the most annoying woman on the planet. I had never seen the Twilight movies. Meredith forced me to watch it over our vacation, and she's worse than I expected, actually.
So here's the real reason that she's moving to Europe.
Okay.
She is not a good actress. Mm-hmm. She has no professional future here. Mm-hmm. And the cost of living in a place like Portugal is pretty low.
Oh, yeah.
So she's got to skate on those royalty checks. One of the things that really annoys me also is that she was complaining that actresses get treated like garbage, mm-hmm. and that she's not spoken to with respect or an appreciation for her great intellect. Right. But perhaps people are not speaking to you with respect and they're not giving you jobs because you're not particularly easy to work with. Yeah. This combativeness that people have, it's not isolated to politics. They are annoying people in every area of their lives, not just their political beliefs. It's really exhausting that people have made their politics into their identity. But the result is self-defeating. They just, no one wants to be around you. You're not fun at parties, Kristen.
I chalk this up as another success of the second term of Donald Trump as president.
Yes.
It's 6:54.